Hey everyone, my name is Kyle, and today I am teaming up with Shredlights to bring you a review of the Hoyt St Tabor. So for those of you who don't know, I am one of the founders of San Diego Electric Skateboard and the Advanced Riders Division racing team. And my team has had access to this board for a little over a month, and we've put it through its paces and done a really good job just getting into the nitty-gritty here. And we want to share some of what we found while testing this board out with you and help you make a more informed purchasing decision. The Hoyt St Tabor is a performance-oriented 2-in-1. It has a few interesting features that differentiate it from a lot of other competitors in the space. It's a shorter wheelbase. It has some interesting drivetrain and wheel tech that you won't find anywhere else. And overall, it's a really impressive package. So it starts at $2,800 and goes up to $3,300 depending on the config. We'll break down why that might be a little bit of a misnomer later on in the video. I really do think that you should be speccing into the higher end of that package. But before we begin, I just want to do a little bit of a disclosure. So this was donated to our nonprofit by Hoyt St. No money has changed hands. They have not seen the final copy of this review. They do not have any editorial control. Everything that I am about to say is my honest opinion. And while the board was donated, they are not paying me to say any of this. So please bear that in mind. So we're going to start off just kind of breaking down the electronics in this build. So for starters, the battery is built by Duck Battery Systems. They are a bespoke battery building company that is very well respected in industry. They've been around for many years. We actually had a chance to go through and see some of the battery packs. I have not disassembled this unit to look at what's inside it, but what I did see, very good quality welds. Everything is well insulated. There's a lot of attention to detail. I have complete faith in the fact that this battery will last for as long as you can run this skateboard. Another thing to note, it is using the highest quality cell that we see in industry right now, the P42A. It's a good balance of continuous and high voltage output and longevity and capacity. What that means for you is that you will consistently see high output from the bottom to the top of the battery, and you're going to get a cell that has a much higher range than other competitors in its class. That lends to this board getting well over 40 miles on tires. We've tested that. It works every time. We've tested it with riders ranging from 160 pounds to 220 pounds, and every single time they've managed to get well past 40 miles of range. Paired to that battery is a Maker X DV6 Pro. This is a high amperage, high performance ESC, capable of, on paper, up to 180 amps. So to put that in perspective, most high performance boards from other brands run up to about 80 amps. So for things like Hobby Wing and Lingy ESCs, that's where it stops. This board ships with just a little bit shy of 100 amps per side for a cumulative 190 amps to both motors. It is extremely powerful. That said, we've also done some testing internally to push it up to 150 amps per side, or a total of 300 amps of output. It is absolutely race ready at that point. It is fast. That said, I don't necessarily recommend doing that for a couple of reasons. One, it voids your warranty, and two, it puts an extremely high amount of strain on the electronics in these, so you will see some things burn up faster if you are using this at 150 amps over its lifetime. Leave it what it comes at. I promise you it's more than powerful enough. So these are a modified version of another motor that is very popular in the space, the Flipski Battle Hardened. These, however, have had some modifications done internally, so they've reinforced the main shaft, done some work on the bearings, and most of all, they've changed the actual design of the outer can. So they're not as loud, they're not as screamy, they're very smooth and maintain a normal sound. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more stealthy, this probably still isn't it because it's huge, but you can rest assured knowing that you're not going to hear your motors screaming at you every time you get on the board. So last but not least, the control system is the Hoyt Skate Puck. It is still generally considered the gold standard in the DIY space. While it does have a little bit of an awkward shape for some people, it generally is very comfortable and easy to adjust to. My only gripe with it is that it does use micro USB. The board comes with the charging cable for it, so if you don't already have one, that's fine. However, I would like to see that moved up to USB-C at some point in the near future. Moving right along to some of the mechanical and skate hardware components, let's start with the deck. So the deck is really interesting. It is much narrower than probably what you would see on a lot of other performance boards. It has a tighter wheelbase and a more compact stance. If you are a taller person, this may require some adjusting to, just because on a lot of boards you're able to space out, stance out, shift your weight around a lot. This deck is lovely, however, it does want you to sit in these pockets right here and right here. So if you're used to a very aggressive surfer style stance where you have your feet off of diagonal corners, or you're used to moving around a lot, please know that this is probably going to take a little bit of adjustment. Overall though, it's very nice. It's a fiberglass and bamboo hybrid deck, and it's got a little bit of flex here right on the arms. So when you're riding, it does have a little bit more comfort there. It does compress and move for you. That brings us to the trucks. So these are based on the full-size Rosa trucks that Hoyt ships on their dad bod and other marquee models. They are a slightly more compact version that has been affectionately named Rosita. They are by far the single best thing about this board. They are absolutely incredible. Every single part of this truck has been machined and designed in-house at Hoyt with meticulous intensity. The big thing is that they've actually been designed to mimic downhill skate dynamics. So Rosa stands for rake, offset, and angle. These are set up in such a way that my racers have been able to turn them around inside a parking space and then immediately take them up to almost 40 miles an hour. So this board is exceptionally fast and exceptionally nimble, and it is an excellent option if you are interested in maybe getting started in racing, but don't want to commit to something that is going to struggle in the street. So this is a performance 2-in-1, which means you have two options. You can get the Zubom wheels, which are a very nice, comfortable thing. I personally do not see any reason to run these without the 5-inch tires. They are by far one of the best parts about this board. They are absolutely excellent. They're well balanced, so they don't wobble at speed, they don't create any jitter or discomfort, even at speeds well in excess of 30 miles an hour. They are extremely sticky, so they grab onto road exceptionally well. So the way this is done is these have a very soft, grippy rubber compound. So something to note about that is that you will see these degrade pretty quickly if you take them to the track because the rubber is soft. So if you're pushing it really hard through a course at like an Intro to Speed or ARD event, you'll notice these wear pretty quickly. However, I still think it's absolutely worth it. For those of you who are wondering if there's any comfort concessions that have to be made, I have ridden these over grass, I have ridden these over light gravel, I have ridden them over cracks and up onto little streets. It's generally comparable to like a well-inflated 6-inch tire. Don't get me wrong, you'll notice this, especially if you're coming from like a 7-inch or something very large, but it's much more manageable than I think a lot of people would believe. Last but not least, in the mechanical portion, we do have the enclosure and bash guard. So as you've noticed, this thing sits very low to the ground. And when I say very, I mean with the 5-inch tires, it's maybe 2 inches of clearance. So with all those expensive electronics inside, you definitely want to make sure that it's well protected. They have done an immense job of this. We actually have another enclosure that I'm going to take out and show you, and we're going to do some durability tests on. But the long and the short of it is, I don't know what they're making the enclosure out of. They wouldn't tell me. It's extremely resilient. They've designed it in such a way that force transfers around components instead of transmitting force into the main cavity. And we have had no issues. We've scraped it, we've beat it, we've run it around the racetrack, and it has done fine. Same for the bash guard. So it's made out of stainless steel. It features an integrated grab handle, and it does a great job at what it needs to do, which is let you pick the board up and make sure that stuff on the road isn't getting inside your motors. Spectacular, I have no complaints. Like I said, we've been very hard on it, and it's withheld all of that abuse admirably. For those of you who are super into night rides, this actually will fit Shred lights pretty comfortably. So you can do a standard lower mount underneath the deck in the front. However, because of the bash guard and all the other components back here, it is not really feasible for you to put rear lights on underneath. You'll have to mount those on top. Additionally, if you want an SLFX, I would recommend putting these sticky mounts on the sides, either at the front and rear of the enclosure in this space right here. Or additionally, there is enough room for you to put it on the sides directly, right here and right here. So you can of course put it on the bottom, but with some of the clearance issues, I'd say you're best off putting it somewhere else and buying a set of two. So in conclusion, like I said earlier, my team and I have been testing this for a couple of months now, and we've come away consistently very, very impressed by it. It is one of the best performance two-in-ones I have ever had the privilege of spending time with. It features bespoke, custom-made parts all the way down. Everything in here, except I believe the bolts, has been specifically designed in-house at Hoyt Skate to be purpose-built for PEVs. This is excellent. And while the pricing is definitely kind of a bitter pill to swallow for some, I want to say that I think if you are getting the 12S6 or 12S8P variants, it is very fair. So when you see other boards with, high capacity batteries in this price range, you're generally looking at $500 to $800 less than this. However, what you're not getting with those other boards is this custom designed deck, is the 5-inch wheels, is the drivetrain that's been tuned specifically to be comfortable for both racing and street riding. It is one of the best boards I have had the privilege of spending time with, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to review it here on the channel.